So now I'm standing in the wine warehouse. And in the time of COVID, if you're going to shelter in place, right here. Bunch of big bottles, bunch of magnums, set for at least 4 or 5 days. Anyway, I'm supposed to talk about large formats. We don't tend to do lots of them, so if you're interested not only in the futures program, but thinking about Magnum, 3 liter, 5 liter, 9 liter. We sort of do it on a pre-order basis. We usually don't have a lot left over after the pre-order, so if you're interested in large format bottles, you should include that with your order. Magnums are like the perfect size bottle. Pretty much going through one a day right now, and so why open two when you can open one? But I'm actually here to talk about Freedom Hill Vineyard, and specifically the Dijon 115 bottling. I sort of describe this as our like sneaky great wine. I don't know if it's the moniker of it, as opposed to like Pinot or Wadensville, which I guess sound more stately because they're like the more older heritage clones of Oregon. And so this one sort of goes like, I don't know, like through a little bit of a rough time, but this wine's great. We use a lot of whole cluster fermentation. We started with Freedom Hill Vineyard back in 2012, and we started dividing up the vineyard into 4 different bottlings, including the 3 clone bottlings. And the Curry clone and the Noir clone were super popular right off the bat, and it's just taken some time for the Dijon 115 to gain some traction. But I've always liked it. We started doing 50% whole cluster fermentation right off the bat with that, and I've done every year leading up to 2015 when we started doing a little bit more 100% whole cluster fermentation, which we do here on a much more routine basis now than we used to. The 2019 is going to include a combination of 100% whole cluster, 66% whole cluster, 33% whole cluster. Again, it's going to be a fun wine to put together, but this wine really is probably the model for what I talk about with the 2019 vintage, where it's just not what you expect. This is a dark, powerful, structured wine. That's how Freedom Hill is. Like those are the inherent characteristics of Freedom Hill, the bigger, denser kind of wines. The Dijon 115 from Freedom Hill Vineyard this year is really almost atypical, I think, of what people are going to expect from the vintage. And that's great. I think it's good to have little surprises. We already had one surprise, and that one sucked. This one's a good surprise. So if you're looking for something that's definitely got some force and some tannin, that's going to do well with bottle age, especially in one of these guys right here. Yeah, that's going to be good stuff. This is something that I think sneaks up on people. I think of like the wines that I consider to be like our top 5 or 10 wines. I put this one in here, and I think that surprises people because people see it as more of a Pinot, Wadensville, Curry clone kind of place. We don't have a lot of Dijon clone wines. We don't have a lot of Dijon clone planted here at the vineyard, but this is of the wines that are like heavily Dijon clone influence. This is easily my favorite. I really like this wine. It's different, it's unique. I like the whole cluster aspect to it. Freedom Hill really takes to it very well. We're lucky to work with this. Dan and Helen Duché planted this vineyard back in 1982. Patty and I started a great relationship with them back in 2012. We worked with them. We're the largest purchaser of fruit, and this is one of the interesting bottlings. If you haven't tried it, sneak a few into your order.